I want to introduce this lady here. She is highly educated, but so down to earth. So thank you so much for joining the party.
It's my pleasure.
Oh my God. I'm gonna catch my breath right quick. I told you the sassy flames got me flaming.
Listen, while she's catching her breath, let me just say, doesn't she look amazing?
Yeah.
Let me introduce her to you. First of all, when my daughter was about 4 or 5 years old, I didn't know anything about doing hair. She was fabulous all along, and her daughter, Bailey, was fabulous as well. And so she would see my daughter at that school looking like somebody else was raising her and not a black woman. And she would tell me, give me some secrets, and say, this is what you do. And then I started listening to her, and my baby's hair started looking fabulous, just like her baby's hair. And so I want you to know, I don't think she's a stylist, but she knows stylist is in her blood.
Oh,
so
man.
let's just give her a warm welcome.
Thank you so much.
Right?
At least I know what to do, okay? But listen, this is Dr. Rhonda Mattox, MD, the go-to psychiatrist, right? She is all things fabulous. She's been quoted in Money, Forbes, Huffington Post, New York Times, Newsweek, as well as respected academic journals. I ain't gonna go down the list, we might be here all day. But the reason why it was so important for me to bring Dr. Mattox to the stage is because I actually had a list of questions for her. She was like, we ain't doing all them questions. We gonna have a real girlfriend conversation. Ain't that right?
That's right.
She's gonna talk to us about why we're trying to take on all these hats, and then we wonder why we tired and complaining. Because I know, I was like, when I was talking to her, I felt like I was being diagnosed right then on the spot. I was like, oh, you talking about me, child? What is this about?
I'm talking about all of us, okay?
So why is it important to, for us black women also to kind of take a step back and actually reach out to you for your services? Let's just start there.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we are groomed from girlhood, from childhood on, is to whom much has been given, much is required. And so many times we step up. People don't even have to ask us for anything. We will volunteer. And when people do ask us for something, many times we're so honored and we want to work with them that we say yes. We don't learn how to say no, because in fact we are taught if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And somewhere along the way, we discover or we learn that no is a bad word. So we struggle with saying no. And then before we know it, our cup runneth over, our plate, our table, our floor is running over, and we have a little bit of resentment because we're thinking, why did they ask us to do one more thing? Can't they see I'm busy? And then we're resentful.
That is so true. But you know what? Now that I'm 47, I know how to say no real good. No real good. I ain't doing that. No, ma'am. And I ain't going over there.
Let's train our daughters and our sons to say that as well.
Yes, because guess what? I am tired. As you can see, we put this show together, but all the content, all the flyers, all the emails, texts, I did it by myself. And I probably need to relinquish. I probably need to come sit on your couch and say, help me. Because I probably didn't know how to, delegate to other people. How important is delegating?
Delegating is a superpower, and we have to work on it. Because we've also been taught, if you want anything done right, do it. And we have to unlearn that, because there's some things that need to be done perfectly, perhaps, but everything doesn't have to be. And there's some things that you can only give 20%. We'll say, anything I'm going to do with excellence. Some things don't have to be done with excellence. Figure out what those things are, and then delegate those things.
That is so true. I do have a problem with delegating. But in 2025, I'll be delegating, so make sure y'all phone is on, okay? Don't be saying no to me. I'll be like, can you help me with that? But one thing I've learned doing this event for the 7 times, not really 7 years in a row, but 7 times.
7 times.
Yes, give it up for 7 times. Yeah, we had a little pause during the pandemic. And some of the vendors actually have been with me since day one, and so I am so appreciative of that. But just being able to tap into the people that are more versed in that arena, how important is that to just hone into, I don't know everything. I don't know. I know a little bit about hair because I am licensed cosmetologist. I keep them licensed up, okay? They want that $50 every two years. But, why is it important to just tap into the people that are more versed in that arena?
Think about it like this. There are some things that if I give 10%, it's someone else's 150%. It's just my anointing. It's my gift. I can do it. I don't even have to think about it. There are other things that I cannot do, and it's a struggle. If I had to sit like my brother does and do finance or IT, I'm not attentive to detail, but I can work a room, I can motivate, I can influence. And so figure out those, your thing that you can do effortlessly, and those things that you can't do, but you see this sister over here, and she is an administrator extraordinaire, she is a virtual assistant, she can do that, and she does it with ease, but your natural resting face is you shouldn't be a virtual assistant. You shouldn't be an assistant. So find the people who do what you do poorly and work with them, and you complement each other. You don't have to be every woman. You can just be yourself and work with other people who are doing it fabulously.
Absolutely. So I'll be calling you, okay?
Call me.
Get on the couch. Let's have a moment. Do you have, what kind of sessions do you have? What does that look like?
So most people think that seeing a psychiatrist means getting on a couch. I don't even have a couch. I'm virtual. Courtesy of the pandemic, my role looks completely different. My role looks like the who's who of Arkansas.
Yeah.
I have across the state people who are sheriffs, who are mayors, who judges, teachers. Before the pandemic, I didn't have a teacher. And I remember sharing a stage with one of the Kennedy boys, had bipolar disorder, one of the famous Kennedys. And he talked about how he used to park his car down the way and walk to the psychiatrist's office because he didn't want his car seen in the parking lot. Well, courtesy of the pandemic, you don't have to worry about who you're going to see in the waiting room, who's going to see your car in the parking lot. You can get an appointment, and nobody has to know that I know your name or you know my name. You can do it confidentially.
Yes, give it up for that right there. So you don't even have to know that you're coming to see her. I'll just sneak on in, book my appointment, and do we do it Zoom or just on the phone? What are we doing?
It depends on what your preferences are.
Okay.
For me, I like being able to see if I've stepped on your toes and if you're saying ouch, so I really don't want to do it on the phone. I want to be able to look you eyeball to eyeball and say, I ain't scared.
Turn them screens on.
I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, that means y'all got to turn y'all screens on. Y'all might not have to get dressed from the bottom down, but be sure to dress up on the top to bottom, okay?
Yes, I've had people that were in the bed. I was like, hey, hold on.
You be like, do you change your background?
Yes, change the background.
Yeah. We already know what that Zoom look like.
Yes.
I think that's so important. One thing that I wanted to talk about too is just, the workplace trauma, so to speak. Yeah. I've had to work with some very colorful, ideal people in my day. And what I mean by that, they really thought they were my boss, and they wasn't. And I've had to check a few people. But it sometimes feel like we don't want to come off the angry black woman. So Can you address that or give us some tips on how we can deal with that?
That is a great question, because many times what I will notice, I do coaching as well, is that when people have been in the boardroom or in different platforms, and they feel like when I make a comment, nobody can hear me. But when someone else says something very similar, all of a sudden it's a wonderful idea, they'll kind of stop back and stop using their voice. And one of the things that I say is, when you feel like you've handled a situation in a way that you don't like it, let's rewind and think about how you would have liked to have handled that situation. Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen again. And when something happens, it can take you off your game, and you can just get in your head like, I should have said this, I should have said that. And then you are not even contributing to the conversation. So figure it out how you should handle it, because it will circle back again. I can almost guarantee it.
You got that right. So I still journal. I journal a lot. I actually jot down some conversations that I may be evidence in court one day, honey, because I'm gonna win that case. It was your fault. It was your fault. So would you also give us some tips on what we can do? Like for me, I journal. Yes. Is there anything else that we can look forward to?
Let me just start with journaling, because many times it's almost like it's a boogeyman when it's in our head. It's bigger than what it really is. But when we put it, and I'll call it brain dumping, particularly at night. If you're about to pray, right about the time you're about to pray, you start thinking about all the stuff you need to do. So what I will do is I will just write down everything that's in my head. And then that is what I'm starting my priority list with the next day. Because if you're trying to remember and remember and remember, it's exhausting, and you get this anxiety like, ooh, I'm going to forget something. So just write it down. But the other thing is write down your feelings, and you will many times start to see patterns of who is upsetting you. If you have panic attacks or you get really anxious, don't just have the panic attack and then go. Write down who you were with, what you were just thinking, where were you, about what time of day, and you'll start to notice that there are patterns of people who are getting you to that point. And then you'll notice there are some people that you need to dial back on. Many times we are trying to be what we think we should be instead of coming out with how we're really feeling. And that is where a part of the anxiety comes from betraying ourselves and being the should instead of who we actually are.
Didn't I tell you I feel like she diagnosed me? I know y'all taking mental note. Y'all gonna go to work this week and be like, yes, you. I'm gonna stay away from you. Thank you very much. You going to the restroom? Okay.
Not today.
I'm not going in there today. You want to have a lunch? You want to go to lunch? No, thank you. I brought my sandwich.
Yes.
That's what you have to do. I think that's really important these days. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Thank God I'm a sales rep, so I'm kind of in the car by myself. So I talk to myself, y'all. I don't answer it back, but I do talk out loud, right? But y'all know I love music, so I hear everything, podcasts and music and things like that. So
and music can help you.
Yeah.
Right? So listen to music. Think about how your body is feeling when you're listening to it. Sometimes you can be amped up, and then certain types of music can calm you down. And other times you can be calm, and certain types of music can amp you up. So pay attention to how you feel when you leave someone's presence, when you leave this vibe, when you leave whatever. If you feel like amped up, like, hey, this is good, or if you feel really anxious and annoyed and irritated. And then pay attention to how people look when you're sharing your good news with them. If for just a split second they look constipated,
bingo.
But then they recover. Listen, it may not be about you.
Okay.
But understand that they're not ready to sharing your good news, and while that may hurt your feelings, it helps your vision.
So what do you do with that? So if I got some good news and the person I'm really excited to share it with is not receiving my good news, and they are giving me the ugly face, what do you suggest there? Just do I keep telling them?
No.
I'm a little animated.
No.
I might keep telling them.
No, but here's the thing. You know, all of us are not always on the mountaintop at the same time. And so it does not necessarily mean that they're a hater, but if they're in a space to where maybe they're going through a divorce or they're looking for a job and then you're sharing with them, then they may be happy for you, but they're not happy for themselves, and you're reminding them of some stuff. So there are a number of different things, and don't overestimate what it is that they're going through. But if you are a person of faith, I will say pray about it, and then let the Lord give you some wisdom on how to navigate that. Now, if you're not, what I will say is don't get in their face, because obviously they're probably struggling already.
That is so true. Well, I appreciate those little nuggets right there. Y'all appreciate that. Do we have any can you take some questions, Dr. Mattox?
Absolutely.
Does anyone in the audience would like to take any questions that they may have? We do have the microphone. The floor is open. We do have a couple of minutes to share some wisdom. Anyone? I know y'all ain't shy. I know y'all sitting over there like, what can I do about this coworker that I'm gonna see tomorrow?
Listen,
I know the election coming up, so I know y'all got some crazy people on your timeline.
Listen.
Oh, what do we do with that?
Yes.
What do you do with that? Because I've had to delete a few people that's a little bit extra.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
You may have that wonderful colleague that's sitting next to you. How do we manage that since we're so close to the election?
It's nuanced, because some of us absolutely 100% need our jobs. And if that is the case, then I suggest that you not go there with your coworker, because I know I'm a real laid-back person, and there's some people who have really, I won't say tickled my fancy, but really chapped my hide. And what I will not do is let anybody steal my joy. And I'm not going to give you that kind of power over me to just do that. So once you identify that this person is not your people, then please do not have those discussions with them. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to change their mind. But what you will do is get your heartbeat racing. And while I'm talking about your heartbeat racing, I just want to say this one thing before I leave. Listen, I remember reading in the Bible to forgive 70 times 7. I thought you had to be some kind of crazy to let somebody do something to you 490 times in a day. But I need you to understand, we don't let people do something to us 490 times in a day, but what we will do is replay things over and over and over in our mind. And each time we replay it, it's like our heart speeds up, our belly gets butterflies in it, our shoulders tense up, and we are releasing dangerous chemicals into our body that can contribute to heart disease, migraine headaches, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. As a man, thinketh, so is he. And so you get to choose what you're going to think on. A bird can fly over your head, but please don't let it build a nest. So choose, be intentional about what you are meditating on.
Listen, y'all got to clap for that, because that's real right there. I'm so thankful that this is recorded, and we're going to share this on our social media platforms, because we may have to revisit that, just
Let's
that piece right there for sure. Thank you so much. Y'all give it up for Dr. Rhonda Mattox. Before we leave this segment, can you just tell everyone how they can reach you?
Yes, at Dr. Rhonda Mattox on Facebook, Instagram, not Snapchat, or LinkedIn.
You snap it?
And also, I'm at drrhondamattox.com. Safe counsel at drrhondamattox.com if you're looking for my email, but drrhondamattox.com or at Dr. Rhonda Mattox on any of the social media platforms that I'm a part of. Thank you.
Y'all can find her everywhere, so there'll be no excuses, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up to her one more time. Thank you, Dr. Rhonda Mattox. We're going to go over here and take a few pictures, too.